When you look at this, $3.8 trillion, all these different programs out here, if you cut out this amount down here, $85 billion, how can that little slice of all this make a difference? One of the reasons it makes a difference, one of the reasons is because Washington is not really looking at the whole budget, and they haven't for a long, long time. Because what you have to consider is that all of the entitlement programs are basically out of the equation. And these programs are bigger than all the other programs. We're not really cutting the whole budget. We're talking about putting these cuts in on part of the budget. And you want to see why that really matters? That matters because if you look at what's happened with entitlements over the years, from 1962 up here, look at just defense spending, which we talk about a lot. Here's defense spending, which was way up here at 50%, starts dropping down as a percentage of the total budget, dropping down. And look what happened with entitlements. It moved up, and watch what entitlements has done as the baby boomers have grown older. Up and up and up, and now look how high it is. This line is not being addressed because politically, Wolf, as you know, neither party really wants to tangle with that issue. And so a lot of economists look at this and say, look, you can do what you want about these cuts. They may be painful to a lot of people, but the reality is if you're trying to get at the deficit, you're going to have a hard time doing it if you don't address this line up top, the entitlements. Wolf?
Some economists out there even suspect that cutting back $85 billion over the next 7 months could potentially send the U.S. back toward a recession. Is that possible?
You know, it's possible because anything's possible, but I think there are enough economists out there who would say they're wrong. Right now, when we think about all the fears that people may have in all of this, look at the things that indicate a recession. GDP is one of this. The last quarter of last year, GDP went negative by a tiny sliver for the first time in 3 years. Our GDP has generally been moving up. It moved down a tiny little bit. People said that had something to do with a lot of companies getting rid of inventory at the end of the year and with Hurricane Sandy. But either way, you'd have to have another quarter of that before it's a real indicator of the recession. So we're going to call that sort of a neutral yellow warning about that. What about employment? Employment has been slowly creeping up, but slowly. So it's not a negative indicator that it's where it is right now, but it's certainly not positive either. That's also this way. Housing has been better right now. We're going to call that green because that's doing better in the country. And what about the sequester? Even if we call that red, here's the bottom line. Yeah, there are a lot of scare tactics out there, a lot of talk now about this going into a recession, but the CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, and many others have looked at this very carefully, and they say unless some more of these factors really tie together, the sequester alone can't do that. It won't push us into a recession, or at least it's very, very unlikely, despite all these dire warnings.